more than 100 protesters outside HPD headquarters on Monday. One of those protesters, Rap-A-Lot president James.
The Prince family has been whispered about for years, with talk spreading that they've been under federal investigation tied to some serious street-level activity in Houston. What started as a powerful record label is now seen by many as one of hip-hop's most controversial empires, built on shady business moves, rigged dice games, and ruthless industry tactics that allegedly left artists broke, frustrated, and afraid to speak up. People claim the Prince family's power runs way deeper than music, built on control, intimidation, and money strong enough to keep everyone quiet. Let's get into how Jay Prince and his sons allegedly turned Houston into their personal gold mine, and why some folks think the feds are finally ready to move in on one of hip-hop's most feared families. Jay Prince is a legendary figure from Houston's Fifth Ward, best known as the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, the label that opened the door for Southern hip-hop to take over. But behind the suits, speeches, and motivational quotes, there's a darker story lurking in the shadows. Growing up in the Fifth Ward wasn't easy. It was a neighborhood where surviving the day was already a win. Jay Prince grew up fighting through poverty, violence, and endless struggles, watching the streets swallow up people around him. But what changed him forever was watching his mother battle addiction. That pain shaped the way he viewed the world and hardened his mindset for good. In his book, The Art and Science of Respect, Jay Prince talks about how those early lessons taught him the real rules of power and survival. In those streets, respect wasn't just something you earned, you took it. Money came by any means necessary, and loyalty could flip fast depending on who was paying. By his early 20s, Jay Prince realized the street game only had two endings, prison or the grave. But instead of a dramatic wake-up call, his shift came from pure hustle.
Pulled behind me, put his lights on. I stepped out the car. The officer drew his gun on me and put me in the back seat of his car.
When he found out his mother was struggling with addiction, he says that was the moment he decided to clean things up, or at least make it look that way. In 1986, Jay Prince opened Smith Auto Sales, flipping used cars by day, while according to reports, still keeping one foot in the streets at night. He's openly said he was deeply involved in street activity, never giving full details, but never denying it either. That car lot was the perfect cover, a cash-heavy business that connected him with athletes, local stars, and upcoming music bosses, giving him both legitimacy and access to big money circles. Then came 1987, the year everything changed. Jay Prince founded Rap-A-Lot Records, originally to keep his little brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot, out of the streets. He built a small studio right above his car lot, turning that dusty space into something special. At first, it seemed like a family project, just a way to protect his people from trouble. But deep down, Jay saw something huge. He noticed that Southern hip-hop was being ignored. Back then, the game was all East Coast and West Coast. New York had Run DMC and LL Cool J, while out west, NWA was rewriting the rules. But the South? Nobody was paying attention. That's when Jay Prince made his move and flipped the industry upside down. He formed the Ghetto Boys, a group featuring his brother, a wild performer named Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and later a young freestyler he spotted in a parking lot, Scarface. Their chemistry was electric, their sound was raw, and their message hit hard. People couldn't ignore him. But this is where Jay Prince's tough, no-nonsense business side started to shine, and not everyone in the industry was ready for how he played the game. When Jay Prince realized that Scarface had that undeniable star power more than his own brother, he didn't hesitate for a second. He switched the lineup and made a cold, strategic call: business over family. To him, it wasn't personal. It was smart, and it worked. The Ghetto Boys went on to drop iconic albums like Grip It, On That Other Level, and We Can't Be Stopped, both of which became major hits that dragged the Southern sound straight into the national spotlight.
The lab report from the chemist indicated that the substance that was submitted was Which is value.
We went from three different things, from to a nice value.
Their music was raw, loud, and unforgettable. Exactly what hip-hop was missing at the time. Jay Prince had officially stamped Houston on the map, but that fame came with a price. The spotlight wasn't just from fans anymore, it was from the feds. This wasn't local police knocking on the door. This was federal attention. the same level of heat used to take down international operations. Investigators reportedly started digging into Rap-A-Lot Records, whispering that it might be more than a music label, maybe even a front for something else. And all of this happened long before other entertainment empires started facing similar talk. Still, J. Prince didn't slow down. He kept expanding his empire, signing major Southern artists like Pimp C, Bun B, Juvenile, Devin the Dude, Fat Pat, and many more. But what really built his rep wasn't just the music. It was something the streets started calling the checking in system. Whenever rappers or celebs came through Houston, they were expected to pay respect and link up with J. Prince personally. It wasn't just about business. It was about respect, power, and territory. And according to many in the scene, ignoring that system could lead to things going very wrong afterwards. J. Prince's authority truly got tested in 1996 during a tense dispute between Pimp C and Master P over money and contracts. Rumors spread that things might get dangerous, but J. Prince made one powerful phone call to Master P, and just like that, the beef disappeared. That moment made it crystal clear across the whole industry. J. Prince wasn't just another record label boss. His voice carried weight. In only a few years, he went from hustling used cars in the Fifth Ward to running one of hip-hop's biggest independent empires. Rap-A-Lot had grown into something far bigger than music. Jay started managing elite athletes, including world champion boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr., and his connection stretched all the way to Washington, D.C. At its peak, Rap-A-Lot Records was generating millions from record sales, tours, merch, and streaming. And J. Prince was becoming a power player on multiple levels. By 2003, he made it official, stepping into the boxing world as Floyd Mayweather's manager, and that move turned his money game up to another level. Managing fighters meant huge paydays, a percentage of every fight's purse. During those years with Floyd, J. Prince was reportedly collecting serious money from every championship bout, the kind of cash that builds legacies. But just when it seemed like he had gone fully legitimate, the trouble started creeping back. Reports say the DEA began putting together a major case that could have wrecked everything he had built. Two federal agents, Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, allegedly made it their mission to investigate J. Prince and Rap-A-Lot Records. And this wasn't some short case. This was a 10-year-long pursuit from 1988 to 1999. They reportedly spent years watching, collecting info, and intimidating anyone who came near Rap-A-Lot's offices. J. Prince went public, saying the agents were harassing him and twisting situations to justify their case. Early on, the evidence looked heavy. In 1992, one of his Smith Auto sales cars, an El Camino, was reportedly stopped with illegal substances inside. And even before that, in 1988, J. Prince was pulled over in his Mercedes in what he described as a tense encounter. He said the officer walked up to his window with his weapon already drawn, claiming to have found a small white pill in the car. But J. Prince didn't back down. He fought to clear his name immediately. The next morning, he took a full drug test and passed it. Then he followed up with a polygraph and made both results public to prove his innocence. That's when everything started getting messy on the police side. Reports kept changing. First, they said the pill was ecstasy. Then it switched to Mandrax. Then to Valium. None of it matched up. Not even the paperwork matched. Some officers publicly claimed they found the pill inside J. Prince's vehicle, but the official report said it was discovered in the back seat of the police car. That contradiction lit a fire across Houston. Protests erupted outside police headquarters, with crowds showing up in buses, chanting that J. Prince was being unfairly targeted. The case eventually got dropped, but one thing was made clear. J. Prince had serious influence and strong community support. Now about that so-called checking-in system, here's how it supposedly works. When rappers or big names roll into Houston for shows or business, they're expected to connect with J. Prince or one of his sons, usually by reaching out, announcing they're in town, and linking up with the circle. J. Prince often describes it as building relationships and keeping guests safe in his city. But when you look deeper, not everyone sees it that way. Over time, patterns began to show. artists who skipped checking in, or even those who did but still ended up in messy situations. Suddenly, what looked like friendly networking started feeling more like a control system, deciding who could move safely in Houston's scene. According to reports and online videos, J. Prince Jr. was allegedly involved in hosting high-stakes dice games, the kind that had Houston buzzing. These games reportedly involved insiders making sure the odds were never in favor of the guests. The claim? J. Prince Jr. would invite wealthy rappers or visitors into these games, and when things went south, he'd take a cut, a so-called finder's fee for bringing new players in. Here's how people say it went down. Visitors came to Houston under the impression they were networking, checking out the culture and hanging with the right people. They'd get shown around the Fifth Ward, J. Prince's stronghold, and somewhere along the way, someone would suggest a friendly dice game. Everything seemed cool, just good vibes, until those guests started losing big. To outsiders, it looked like bad luck, but behind the scenes, some claim it was all planned out. People expecting Southern hospitality ended up realizing too late they'd stepped into something way more calculated. Then came September 2020, when everything hit the fan. A respected Chicago jeweler known as Duke came to Houston for a show with Boosie. Duke was well connected and trusted in the industry, known for creating custom pieces for major names. That night, he delivered a brand new piece to Boosie before the concert, and later, he ended up at a private dice game with J. Prince Jr. and the Mob Ties crew. Photos and videos from that night showed Duke right next to J. Prince Jr., relaxed and confident. Everything looked good. He was surrounded by people tied to Rap-A-Lot, one of the most respected names in Houston. But as the night went on, things reportedly took a dark turn. According to online sources, Duke started winning big, supposedly walking away with around $100,000. But that win wasn't supposed to happen, and the game itself might not have been fair from the start. What happened next has been debated non-stop, but by the end of that night, tragedy struck. Duke lost his life near his car, leaving the entire hip-hop world stunned and asking questions that still haven't been fully answered. The official report claimed it was just a robbery gone wrong, but people weren't buying that story so easily. Early rumors hinted that outsiders might have been involved, while others whispered that someone local saw a perfect chance to strike. Fans and insiders started asking the real questions. Why was Duke alone in Houston? Did he really believe being connected to J. Prince Jr. meant he was protected? And if he did, where was that protection when it mattered the most? That heartbreaking loss hit the hip-hop world hard and reminded everyone of another tragedy that would shake the culture 2 years later, the devastating passing of Takeoff. On November 1st, 2022, Takeoff came to Houston with Quavo to celebrate Jazz Prince Day, honoring J. Prince's other son, Jazz Prince, for his contributions to the city. Quavo and Jazz had been close for years, so when the celebration kicked off, Quavo and Takeoff showed up to show love and support. That night, they ended up at a private event inside a bowling alley with J. Prince Jr., Mike Prince, and several people connected to Rap-A-Lot. At first, everything was smooth. Laughs, drinks, good vibes all around. But as the night went on, things reportedly shifted when a dice game started outside. Word is, Quavo lost around $100,000, and rumors spread fast that the dice might not have been fair. Once Quavo realized something felt off, tension skyrocketed. Words flew, tempers flared, and what started as friendly competition quickly spiraled into a heated argument. Witnesses said emotions were running wild, with both sides feeling disrespected. Then a man named Willie Bland, part of Quavo and Takeoff's crew, allegedly got involved to try and calm things down. But instead, the situation exploded into chaos. Amid all that confusion, something went terribly wrong. And tragically, Takeoff, who wasn't even part of the argument, lost his life that night. The entire industry was shaken. Things only got more complicated when reports surfaced that Willie Bland told investigators a weapon used that night was handed to him by Jazz Prince. That claim shocked fans and fueled endless online speculation. Authorities never confirmed those exact details publicly, but the mystery made an already devastating story even darker. What was meant to be a night of peace and friendship turned into one of the most heartbreaking moments hip-hop has ever seen. And it didn't stop there. Not long after Takeoff's passing, another wild situation had the Prince name back in the headlines. In June 2020, while NBA YoungBoy was out of town, several people reportedly broke into his Houston home, stealing expensive items, including keys to his luxury cars. Here's the strange part. The intruders actually recorded the entire break-in. They clearly knew what they were after and where to find it. When that footage hit the internet, YoungBoy went live on Instagram, furious, calling out whoever was responsible. That's when Jay Prince stepped in, and things got even messier. He posted a message that seemed to mock YoungBoy, then uploaded a video holding the stolen car keys, saying he'd recovered them and wanted to make things right. But YoungBoy wasn't impressed. He clapped back hard, telling Jay Prince to stay out of his business and stop inserting himself into personal matters. To a lot of people watching, it felt like deja vu. A problem appears, Jay Prince steps in and somehow gains more leverage in the process. Some saw it as him trying to show dominance and influence rather than just doing a good deed. And honestly, this wasn't the first time people accused the Prince family of pulling strings behind the scenes. Industry insiders have whispered for years that their power doesn't just come from relationships or favors, it comes from building networks of obligation. Artists who check in with them in Houston are often expected to perform at their connected venues, hire their security teams, or drop shout-outs that promote the Mob Ties brand. For a businessman like Jay Prince, who's deep in music, boxing, and other ventures, keeping artists tied to him through loyalty and business connections means long-term money and major influence. Jay has always been known as a master negotiator, someone who knows exactly how to get what he wants without losing control. When Rap-A-Lot Records first landed a distribution deal with Geffen, everything looked good at first. But just 2 months before an album's release, Geffen reportedly tried to back out, calling the music too controversial. According to Jay Prince, he wasn't letting that slide. He made a few strategic calls and handled it himself. Not long after that, Geffen officially dropped Rap-A-Lot from the deal, and Jay Prince walked away with full control of his label again. Then came the showdown with Priority Records. Rap-A-Lot had a 60-40 deal, with Priority taking 40% of the profits, and Jay Prince wasn't having it. He demanded a better split, but when they refused, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He waited until he knew Priority's top executive, Brian Turner, was in the building and made one unforgettable phone call. He reminded Turner that too many people depended on Rap-A-Lot's success and that their current deal was pushing serious tension. Minutes later, Priority agreed to release Rap-A-Lot completely. That bold move sent a message across the industry. Jay Prince wasn't a man you could play with. His reputation for protecting his business and his people became legendary. These days, Jay Prince has passed much of the day-to-day work to his 3 sons, Jay Prince Jr., Baby Jay, and Jazz Prince. But unlike their father, who came up grinding in the rough streets of Houston's 5th Ward, his sons grew up surrounded by comfort and luxury, raised in a massive suburban mansion with supercars, designer everything, and dream vacations. They had the kind of life their father could have only imagined when he was young. Jay Prince made sure his sons never had to struggle the way he did. He even owns a private island off the coast of Belize, showing just how far he's come from his humble beginnings. Any parent would want to give their kids the best, but with that privilege came a big trade-off. His sons never truly had to fight or hustle for survival. Instead of embracing that luxury, Jay Prince Jr. and his brothers seemed to want something different: respect. They craved authority and influence, the same kind their father earned through decades of risk and hard-earned credibility. But to a lot of people watching, it didn't look the same. It looked like they were trying to act tough without understanding the world their father came from. They called it the elevated structure, a name that sounded powerful, almost like a movement about unity and leadership. But online, critics weren't buying it. They joked it stood for Malibu's Most Wanted, saying it was more about image than real power. Still, one thing was clear: their main focus was all about respect. In Houston's entertainment scene, that meant expecting artists to check in whenever they came to town, no exceptions. Now, with federal investigators reportedly digging deeper into cases across the hip-hop world, things could be heating up again, with big names like Young Thug and Gunna already under major legal fire for alleged organized activity. People can't help but wonder, could that same kind of spotlight be headed toward the Prince family next? Adding more chaos to the story, some of the very agents who chased J. Prince for years turned out to be corrupt themselves. In 2019, DEA agent Chad Scott, one of the main investigators on the Rap-A-Lot case, was convicted on multiple charges, including falsifying records, perjury, and running illegal money schemes for personal gain. His partner, Jack Schumacher, was also accused of serious misconduct. These were the same agents who spent over a decade trying to take J. Prince down, only for the truth to come out that they weren't clean either. That revelation flipped everything upside down. But even though those investigators got exposed, it doesn't mean J. Prince is automatically in the clear. It just means the evidence they gathered can't be trusted anymore. And that opens the door for a brand new round of investigations led by fresh eyes. Many insiders believe federal authorities are now quietly rebuilding their entire case from scratch, using verified info and updated methods to make sure this time it's airtight. And if that's true, things could be getting real again for the Prince Empire. Meanwhile, another name has popped up in the mix, Big U, whose real name is Eugene Henley. He reportedly got hit with a RICO case in Los Angeles, accused of running an operation that looked eerily similar to Houston's checking-in system. Out in LA, artists were also expected to connect with certain local figures before doing business, and according to reports, those who didn't could find themselves running into problems fast. Some industry insiders have even whispered that Big U learned this exact system straight from J. Prince himself. Rumors claim Jay was somewhat of a mentor, showing Big U how to blend business, influence, and authority in a way that demanded respect across the industry. If there's any truth to that, and if Big U is now facing serious charges for using the same playbook, the big question becomes, could J. Prince be next? Federal prosecutors have made it clear they're not afraid to hit powerful hip-hop figures with RICO laws, especially when patterns of intimidation, forced loyalty, or shady money moves come into play. The formula is simple but dangerous: pressure, control, and financial manipulation, all hidden under the cover of legitimate business. And when you start lining up the events surrounding J. Prince, the pattern starts looking all too familiar. The still ongoing investigation into Takeoff's death, the unsolved mystery surrounding Duke the Jeweler's tragic end, even the strange break-in tied to NBA YoungBoy, all of it seems to form one long chain connected to the same circle of influence.
No official charges have been filed yet, but a growing number of people believe it's only a matter of time before federal agents connect every dot. For nearly 4 decades, J. Prince has built an empire that seemed untouchable. He survived federal heat, outlasted investigations, and built an image of power that almost no one in hip-hop could challenge. But even the strongest empires don't last forever, and when they start to crack, the fall can be just as legendary as the rise. J. Prince's story has always been wrapped in mystery, built on influence, fear, and deep connections that once kept him protected. But now, that shield might finally be breaking. The corruption tied to his old cases has been exposed, the silence that once guarded his empire is fading, and people, from fans to artists, are finally speaking out. Investigators appear to be connecting the same dots the streets have been whispering about for years. And with federal agencies already showing they'll use RICO laws against big names in hip-hop, the Prince family could be staring down a whole new level of scrutiny. Critics say they've turned Houston into their own personal playground, controlling who eats, who shines, and who stays in the shadows. Between the high-stakes dice games, the quiet deals, and the loyalty networks built behind closed doors, people are starting to wonder, has the Prince legacy reached its breaking point? What started as a simple checking-in tradition, a gesture meant to show respect when visiting Houston, has allegedly turned into something far more serious. Over time, that system, once seen as harmless, has been linked to real consequences, situations
that, according to reports, have caused harm and even cost lives. And while the corrupt agents who once targeted J. Prince have finally been exposed, that doesn't mean he's off the hook. If anything, it might mean the real story is just beginning. With talks of a possible RICO indictment growing louder each day, the Prince family's long-standing reign over Houston's hip-hop scene could soon be facing its biggest test ever. The truth is, J. Prince's power has always depended on one thing: silence. It's lasted because artists were scared to speak up, because record labels and executives kept looking the other way, and because the industry accepted that this was just how it worked. But times are changing, and it doesn't have to stay that way anymore. The cracks in the Prince empire are starting to show, and what happens next could reshape the entire culture of hip-hop. The industry now stands at a major crossroads. Will it keep running on fear, manipulation, and quiet backroom deals, or finally shift toward honesty, creativity, and genuine talent? The answer will define the next generation of artists. This goes beyond just one family. This is about hip-hop as a whole. Rest in peace to Takeoff, Duke the Jeweler, and every life lost or affected by these tragic events. Their names have become more than headlines. They're reminders of a system that's been broken for too long. If accountability finally comes, maybe their loss won't be in vain. Maybe it'll mark the start of a new era, one where respect isn't forced, but earned through art, integrity, and truth. Because at the end of the day, real power doesn't come from intimidation, it comes from impact. And if you made it this far, show some love. Smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's wildest and most shocking stories, and drop a comment below. What do you think about the Prince family's legacy and what might happen next? Your support keeps these conversations alive, and trust me, there's still a lot more truth to uncover. Stay tuned, because this story is just getting started.